ZywOo, m0NESY, donk, and my friend Jake. These are currently the top 4 players in the world, but who's the best? This is not only an incredibly interesting topic, but also a heated one.
Don't clearly top
He
one.
won't be top
m0NESY,
3.
the
m0NESY's
friendly
still best
ghost.
player in his team.
Zylo
But I get you are
is
big.
very washed
Is
up.
m0NESY is the best player in his team.
m0NESY is good.
You've got super fans in every single player's corner, haters in every single corner. Everyone has their opinions, but I'm here to find the actual answer. To do this, I'm going to rank each of these players on 5 separate categories. Whoever averages out the best out of all 5 of these categories, I will deem as the best player in the world. For starters, we're keeping it simple. The first category is raw stats. I know a lot of people hate the stats argument, but at the end of the day, they do help tell the whole story. You watch these players and go, holy moly, these guys sure are good. The numbers do a phenomenal job of backing this up, as these players are the only ones in 2024 to have a rating above 1.3, which quite literally separates them from everyone else. And at the tippy top, we have Donk, slapping his nuts on the table with a 1.38 rating, followed by ZywOo and then m0NESY. This wasn't too surprising to me. I thought Donk would top the charts, but I was a little surprised that ZywOo was above m0NESY. Another thing that actually surprised me was their individual CT and T-side ratings. Donk actually takes a bump on CT, with ZywOo and m0NESY going down, and the complete opposite happens when you switch to T-side. Donk drops and ZywOo and m0NESY take slight bumps. I feel like all the insane donk clips that I see are on T-side, and that opping would be easier on the CT side, which it normally is. The next 6 best offers rating wise all take significant fall offs going from CT side to T side. ZywOo and m0NESY are just quirky little funny guys, I guess. But on both CT and T side, the order of these 3 players stays the same. Next, we're looking at impact rating, and once again m0NESY comes in 3rd place with a 1.39, ZywOo coming in 2nd with a 1.42, and Donk in the number 1 spot again. But hold on to your britches. He dwarfs both m0NESY and ZywOo with a 1.6. Honestly, I was shocked when I saw this for the first time. That is a huge jump, but to be fair, a lot of the times when I'm watching Spirit, the gun rounds they win are due to Donk running out and getting a double entry, Donk on CT side getting a multi-frag, just things like that. Of course, m0NESY and ZywOo also have moments like that, but I feel like I see it more often with Donk. Next up, we can compare all of their player cards. Thank you HLTV for adding this, we truly do not deserve you. This is going to be a little tricky due to their differing roles, but I think firepower, opening, trading, and clutching stats should all be just fine. All of these players have at least a 96 in firepower, which is just absurd, but once again, with a 100, Donk tops the charts, followed by ZywOo's 98 and m0NESY's 96. Along with this, Donk also tops opening and trading with a 93 and 74 respectively, but Donk doesn't dominate every stat. He is actually last in clutching, and by quite a bit. In this category, he is dwarfed by ZywOo and m0NESY, which completely made sense to me considering I don't think I've ever seen Donk clutch a round in a game I've been watching, which isn't necessarily a shot. I don't think on Spirit he's put in very good spots to make clutches. It's just not really his role on the team. And m0NESY topping this category also made sense to me. You remember a m0NESY clutch, man.
That's his thing.
Guys, Heavenly's open.
Oh,
Heavenly's
no!
open!
Oh, he could have hit that as well!
No way!
Odyssey, come on!
Anyways, I think it's time we take a little bit of a break from HLTV. Listen, I understand these guys are demons against the best players and teams in the world, but what about Gerald, who just got off his 9-to-5 and wants to wind down to some Counter-Strike? We need to look at how badly these players curb stomp the average man, because my GOAT will not only cook top 20 teams, but also pug stomp nerds. All 3 of these players' Leadify ratings are public, and if you guys don't know what Leadify is, it's basically a website where you can log in with your Steam account, and it will track all of your Counter-Strike games and give you ratings on your aim, utility, positioning, opening duels, clutching, and eventually an overall leadify score, which is kind of an overall rating for how much you affected your team's win rate. It takes a lot more into account than just kills, and it's a great way to see how good of a player you really are. This tracks all of your comp games, premier games, FACEIT games, and what I actually didn't know is it tracks these players' HLTV games as well. So this rating is going to be a mix of actual tournament games, FPL games, regular FACEIT games against level 10s, and if they played any premier games. So after some digging, I found these players' leadify pages, and the results actually really surprised me. All the way at the bottom, similar to clutching, is Donk with a 3.8. Monacy had basically double his rating with a 7.5, and all the way at the top, we have Zaiwu with an 8.03. When you take into account pugs and tournament games, leadify says Zaiwu has the most impact on his team's win percentage. It could be that the fight for that number 1 spot isn't actually a 2-man race like we all thought, but I think it was pretty clear from the start. Donk wins the stat category, but of course, while stats tell part of the story, they don't tell the whole story. What about the eye test? 2024 might be the most entertaining battle for the number 1 spot that I've ever seen. Will Zaiwu finally fall out of the top 2 for the first time in 5 years? Everyone seems to think so, and public opinion seems to be split 50-50 for Monacy and Donk to take the top spot. But what do I think? My eye test tells me that while an incredible player, Zaiwu is not the best player in the world. And between Monacy and Donk, give me neither. Give me him, baby! But if you're gonna make me choose between Donk and Monacy, well, I've been leaning Monacy this entire year. I feel like there are a lot of other people that agree with this, and the only explanation that I can really give is that when I watch Donk make a great play, I go, wow, this kid is insane. He makes the game look so easy. His mechanics are so smooth, and I'm just kind of in a trance when I watch him spray. But when I see a Monacy play, I go, holy shit, how the fuck did he just do that? Not only this, I really do value clutch factor so highly in a player's skill set, especially in a game like CS where one round can change the entire outcome of a game. I don't think there's anyone else that I would trust more than Monacy in a 1vx situation right now. Maybe Shiro. Actually, no. I'm still taking Monacy. He just constantly amazes me. I just watched Donk decimate Wildcard and break the CS2 kill record, which was incredible, but there wasn't a single moment from that game that's really stuck in my mind like a Monacy flick does. Of course, the year isn't over yet, but from what I've seen so far, and just how watching these players makes me feel, I'm giving eye test points to Monacy. The next category is overall team success. While CS is and always has been a team game, I think truly great players can raise their team's ceiling. Whichever player's team averaged the best tournament placing throughout 2024 will get points for this category. G2's won 1 trophy in 2024, and it was that miracle IEM Dallas run. In that tournament, Monacy dropped a 1.35 rating, easily being the highest rated player in the tournament. Even with Stewie and Nexus sandbagging, he dragged G2 to that trophy. Vitality also have 1 trophy in 2024, the recent IEM Cologne. In this tournament, Zaiwu was the 4th highest rated player. Guess who was number 1? It was by all means a Zaiwu masterclass, dropping a 1.31 rating. He was also heavily supported by Flames and Sphinx, who both at least had a 1.2 rating. Spirit have won 3 trophies this year. First, we have the Donk Masterclass tournament, where he dropped a 1.7 rating and curb stomped FaZe in the finals. He was also heavily supported by Shiro with a 1.27 rating and Zontix with a 1.16. Next is the Blast Premier Spring Finals, which was actually a device masterclass. Donk just followed him up with a 1.33 rating and was once again heavily supported by Shiro and Zontix. Finally is Gambling Site Tournament, where Donk had a phenomenal 1.48 and was once again heavily supported by Shiro and Zontix. Statistically, these 3 players were in the top 4 of the entire tournament. It seems that Spirit have a pretty simple formula for winning tournaments. When Donk, Shiro, and Zontix are all on, they win. And the order of these 3 players always stays the same. Donk on top, Shiro in 2nd, and Zontix in 3rd. I know this isn't some revolutionary discovery. Obviously, when your good players play good, you're probably gonna win. Well, G2 would like to have a word. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is it's never donk just solo hard carrying. While he is consistently the top of the board for them, as much as it might look like it, he himself is not all of Spirit. When Spirit are at their best and they're winning tournaments, he has help. It's not a knock on him or anything. He's no different than ZywOo. In Donk's tournament wins, he had help. In ZywOo's tournament win, he had help. The one player where this differs is m0NESY. Unlike ZywOo and donk, I never mentioned m0NESY supporting players, because unlike ZywOo and donk, when m0NESY won IEM Dallas, he had no teammates above a 1.2 rating. Nico was at a 1.19, and after him, Hunter was all the way down at a 1.03. Barely positive, and don't even make me mention Stewie and Nexa. Along with this, when you take every single tournament these teams have attended, and average out their placements at each one, even though Spirit won 3 events, G2's average placement is actually better. So not only was m0NESY's tournament win, in my opinion, more impressive, G2 averages a higher placement at tournaments than both Vitality and Spirit. Points for m0NESY in this category as well. Before you make the argument that G2 easily is the best roster, Vitality's team is also a powerhouse. Plus, m0NESY's been playing with HooXi and Nexa a majority of the year. And it took a while for both Nico and Hunter to come into form after the release of CS2. So I don't even want to hear it, man. Next category is player consistency. This one's going to be short and sweet. We're just going to be looking at each player's percentage of maps with a 1+ rating. At the bottom is m0NESY with an 83.6%. After him is donk with an 86.8. And all the way at the top is ZywOo with a 90.9. ZywOo wins this category. He nearly never has an off day, no matter the map. Now for our final category, team success when their star player goes missing. For this, these players are going to get points depending on how bad their teams do when they are not playing well. This is a great way to measure how much these players' performances actually matter. Let's start off with m0NESY. m0NESY has 21 maps in 2024 with a sub 1 rating. G2 has won 5 of those maps, which gives them a 24% win percentage when their star opper goes missing. Pretty bad. donk has had 14 maps under a 1 rating. Spirit won 3 of those, a 21% win percentage, even worse. And finally, ZywOo has had only 9 maps under a 1 rating. Vitality won 4 of them, giving them a 44% win percentage when ZywOo goes missing. So donk gets points for this category. But to dig into this a little deeper, while Spirit do need donk, Shiro, and Zontix to all be playing well to win tournaments, they do also heavily rely on donk to be above both of them. Going back to IEM Dallas again, Shiro and Zontix both played really well this tournament, but donk was just pretty good, being rated right above Zontix but heavily below Shiro. Since he wasn't above both of them, they fell out in the semifinals. Him being a monster in every single map heavily dictates Spirit's success. Anyways, according to this, donk's performance is the most important to his team's success. Finally, here are the results. Taking into account raw stats, the eye test, team success, player consistency, and team success when one of these players goes missing, and averaging out their rankings in each of these categories, the 4th best player is Jake. It was a good try, man. You got it next year for sure, okay? ZywOo comes in 3rd with an average placement of 2.4. Next up is donk with an average placement of 1.6. Oh wait, that actually puts him in 1st. That's right. m0NESY comes in 2nd with an average placement of 2. And according to this, donk is your #1 player in the world. I got your ass so good. I know I did. Before making this video, my opinion was that m0NESY was the best player in the world. This also seems to be the general consensus. I mean, look at his flicks. Look at his clutches. Look at his consistently high ratings. But after thinking about it, here's why I think this is. I think a lot of people, myself included, get best and most electric confused. m0NESY is absolutely the most electric player in the world. But according to this, he isn't the best player in the world. His time in the #1 spot will have to come another year. Thank you guys so much for watching.